Every day, something dramatic happens in the Caribbean that affects our lives. We'll give you the details. We'll give you the facts on Caribbean Perspective with Eddie Frederick. Here's Eddie Frederick.
So glad you can join us. CDB celebrates its 53rd annual meeting of its Board of Governors in quite fine style in St. Lucia. This story takes the lead in today's edition of Caribbean Perspective for Thursday, 22nd June 2023. Details after this important message.
The hurricane season is now upon us, so we as Caribbean people need to remember to think safety and be prepared. Avoid venturing outside during a storm or hurricane, especially if there are strong winds. Rooftops and other debris are often blown about and can cause great damage.
Welcome back. The opening ceremony of the 53rd annual meeting of the Board of Governors of the Caribbean Development Bank took place on Tuesday, June 20th at the Sandals Grand Hotel in St. Lucia. The annual meeting brings together the bank's highest decision-making body to discuss key development challenges facing the region and innovative solutions. Zane Romulus of the DBS News World reports.
The 53rd annual meeting of the Board of Governors of the Caribbean Development Bank, the CDB, opened on Tuesday under the theme Marshalling Finance for Development, Access to Adequate and Affordable Financing. As a prelude to the meeting, CDB hosted a series of complementary activities, including seminars involving regional and international decision makers. These seminars explored innovative approaches to increasing development financing. A focus of the meeting is deepening the bank's outreach to the youth and strengthening engagement with potential and upcoming young regional leaders. This aligns with the policy direction of the Chair of the Board of Governors, Prime Minister Philip Pierre.
I have always focused on finding solutions to the chronic social and economic challenges facing the people of the country, the people of the region, particularly the youth. It was evident from research data that the unemployment rate for persons between 15 and 24 in the region was generally 3 times that of adult unemployment, and the region's youth were bearing a disproportionate share of the burden of poverty, marginalization, and exclusion from the developmental process. In that regard, I initiated measures to create the enabling environment for the youth of St. Lucia to access existing and emerging business opportunities by establishing the Youth Economy Agency to convert hobbies into entrepreneurship and skills into business.
The meeting also centers on financial solutions for regional development and greater inclusion of private sector partners. The objective is to tackle the main constraints hindering access to the various categories of finance necessary for propelling economic growth and sustainability. CDB President Dr. Hyginus Jean Leo says the annual meeting's focus supports the bank's objective of building economic resilience by providing increased resources to fuel growth and reduce the region's vulnerabilities.
The fate of the region and the bank are inextricably linked. When the region succeeds, the bank succeeds. It is therefore in our collective interest to work together. And in Creole, les banques là fait bien, nous toutes fait bien. Alors nous n'y pour travailler ensemble. Passer en l'été nous pour travailler ensemble. So let us act together and act now, because the moment is with us. And if we allow it not to happen, we will need to reflect in history why we did not do what we were called to do.
Other anticipated activities to cap off the week around the 53rd meeting of the Board of Governors are the 23rd annual William G. Dumas Memorial Lecture, which will focus on climate finance, and a discussion with representatives from the region's indigenous community. For the TBS News World, I am Zane Romulus.
A brief ceremony raising the OECS and the St. Kitts and Nevis flags in Frigate Bay marked the 50th anniversary of the founding of the Organization of Eastern Caribbean States, OECS, with the signing of the Treaty of Bastille just ahead of the opening ceremony for the 73rd meeting of the OECS Authority.
The opening ceremony that took place in the Sir Cecil Jacobs Auditorium at the Eastern Caribbean Central Bank also marked the start of the chairmanship of the authority by St. Kitts and Nevis' Prime Minister Dr. Terence Drew. Filled with the appropriate entertainment, Prime Minister Drew paid tribute to the founding fathers of the OECS, recognizing the country's first Prime Minister who was a signatory to the original Treaty of Bastille. He paid tribute also to the country's second Prime Minister who signed the revised Treaty of Bastille.
Allow me to recognize our national hero, our only living national hero, Sir Kennedy Simmons, who, as was said earlier, was a founding member of the OECS. I know you have stood already, but as the Prime Minister of St. Kitts and Nevis, I want you to stand again and take a vow. Thank you very, very much, and I do recognize as well your wife, Mary. I also want to take this opportunity to recognize one who continues to serve in government, but would have been instrumental in the revised Treaty of Bastille of 2010. When he was the Prime Minister, today he served as the Minister of Foreign Affairs, the senior minister, and I'm once again asking that your Prime Minister is calling on you to stand and take a vow for your contribution for the continuation of your OECS. The Honorable Dr. Denzel Llewellyn Douglas.
Several activities involving students and communities were part of the program of activities marking the 50th anniversary of the OECS throughout the sub-region. Glenn Bart reporting for SK Newsline.
You're listening to Caribbean Perspective with Eddie Frederick.
The People's Labour Party convention on the weekend in Tabernacle focused on the work of the party in the now defunct Team Unity Coalition and what party leader Dr. Timothy Harris deems the failure of the current St. Kitts Nevis Labour Party administration. Andre Huey of SKN Newsline has more.
The People's Labour Party convention on the weekend in Tabernacle focused on the work of the party in the now defunct Team Unity Coalition and what party leader Dr. Timothy Harris deems the failure of the current St. Kitts Nevis Labour Party administration. Addressing party faithfuls and representatives, Dr. Harris pointed to the cost of living and crime in the country as failings of the current administration, while also accusing the government of victimization.
My mind is on the people of this country. Thank you, Agatha. She is with me forever. Thank you. But you know, we really would have wanted that our country would have some peace, that the incoming government would have shown some good sense. But Lardo, this government now behave good at all. And you can't even complain to them. Not only the figure that they are high and mighty, that they are an expert at doing nothing but getting high pay, that every time you call, can I have a word with Dr. Jew? Can I have a word with Dr. Samuel? He's not here, he gone. When you call, Labour people can't believe what Jew has done to this country. Labour people and all have gotten annoyed at the behavior of a government they put in
in less than 1 year. I have never, in my 30 years of involvement in parliamentary politics, seen a government become so unpopular in so short a period of time. They can't go for 5 years.
Dr. Harris bemoaned the fall of Team Unity and blamed his former coalition partners for its demise.
What manner of man could have turned for the best that was being given to his island? What manner of man could turn from the best? And now we get not 1 cent more. Mash up a government that was working for his island. Out of greed, out a lust for power. You understand what happened? Sometimes all the good you're doing for people, one day the devil could get in their head and they take action for which others are suffering. The mess that the country is now in is as a result of the selfishness, the rush for some people to take control of the prime ministership of the country and to take control of the Ministry of Finance.
The People's Labour Party elected a new executive prior to the convention on Saturday, which is headed by chairperson and former Senator Wendy Phipps. I'm Andre Huey for SKN Newsline.
For Labour Day celebrations in 2023, trade unions rejected Prime Minister Dr. Keith Rowley's call for collaboration. In fact, they stated it is nothing more than a ploy because of the upcoming local government elections. CNC3's Richard Khan has more.
Today's Labour Day march was more than just a celebration. With relatives of the pariah divers joining in solidarity, they stood with unions seeking justice.
We're just looking for justice right now, and we're waiting for the final report of the Commission for Inquiry.
But with crime, fuel and food prices at an all-time high, the JTUM president believes there's only one avenue for any justice in this country. And with the increasing inflation, Roger had one question for the crowd.
Can you truly say that your quality of life has improved over the last 7 years?
It's for these reasons he believes the Prime Minister's call for collaboration to improve the workforce was nothing more than a ploy with local government elections that's less than 2 months away. For Seamen and Waterfront Workers Trade Union President Michael Anisette, even diehard supporters of the government should think twice about who they cast their votes for. Similarly, PSA President Leroy Batiste believes the current administration has been making continued attacks on Labour. It's why he called for them to continue the Labour movement fight. Rashad Khan, CNC3 News.
Police in St. Lucia's crackdown on illegal guns continues as the new acting commissioner consolidates his position by keeping up the pressure on suspects. This HTS News item has more.
The Royal St. Lucia Police Force's crackdown on illegal guns and ammunition continues with regular execution of search warrants. On Saturday, 17th June, officers of the Criminal Investigations Unit conducted a search on Travon Chandler of Goodlands Castries. The search resulted in the recovery of one homemade shotgun and 2 rounds of ammunition. Acting Commissioner of Police Ronald Phillip, speaking on Monday, said the police had been registering success in the crackdown on illegal guns.
For the year, I think we have recovered nearly 50 firearms, which is a lot of firearms, so it's a small country. I think the police officers are energized, and we have been trying to get police officers back into working now.
Travon Chandler was arrested and charged for the offences of possession of a firearm and possession of ammunition. He posted bail at $25,000 along with attached conditions by the 1st District Court. Acting Commissioner Phillip says the idea is to keep up the pressure on criminal suspects.
I think you can see a marked increase in terms of police visibility. So we also have plans to continue along that line.
Philip says despite his brief stint, he intends to make a difference among his targets, curbing the rise in crime and addressing the situation at the Immigration Office.
One of the issues I would like to deal with to appease solutions, especially as it relates to the immigration issue, I think for me that is that would be a major milestone if we can significantly reduce that level of backlog and that frustration that is being experienced at the Immigration Department. So short term, within the 6 weeks, I intend to do my best to try to remedy and correct this situation.
The acting Commissioner of Police says the force has become more nimble and energized in recent times. Qualities, he says, he intends to put to good use to intensify the pressure on those bent on breaking the law. Stanley Lucian for the HS News Force.
Hubbard's is once again innovating the way you shop with its new online store, providing 24-hour shopping convenience. You can shop now for appliances, hardware, houseware, building material, and more. Free delivery island-wide. Start shopping now at hubbardshardware.gd. Safe, convenient, reliable.
I am Eddie Frederick. This has been Caribbean Perspective, a whole new approach to highlighting developments in the Caribbean. In the meantime, please continue to log on to CaribbeanPerspective.com for more daily news and more.